everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm sharing with you my end of month reading reflections for October 2023. So we're going to do things a little bit differently this month. I'm trying to not sit down and film all of my videos at one time, because as you know, or you may not know, I only film videos on Saturdays. So that's my filming day, and I usually film everything on that day and then post it throughout the week. But it does take a lot of time, and so I'm trying to find a way to space out maybe my recording. If not, I'm going to have to drop a few videos that I do on a monthly basis because it's getting to be a lot. And with everything that happened with my mom's medical emergency in the month of October, I really need to be more present and, with the people that I love. It's really made me kind of want to pull back on filming a little bit. So I thought that maybe if I could do this this way without having to get all dressed up and, having to put on a full face of makeup and set up my filming area and all of that, it might be a little bit easier for me to go ahead and get these videos out still. But not have to sit down and film for hours and hours and hours on a Saturday. And so we're going to try this for a little bit, I think. But what you are seeing in the background right now is some gameplay that my daughter and I had filmed earlier in October of Luigi's Mansion. If you did not know, my daughter and I do have a gaming channel. We haven't posted to it since my mom's medical emergency. And so, yeah, I'm not sure when we're going to get back to it, but this is some gameplay from October of Luigi's Mansion going on in the background. So basically, I'm just going to go through with you all of the books that I have read, just telling you what books I've read. And we'll go through a few soft stats, and then I'll give you my highest and lowest rated reads of the month. Just brief thoughts on those, and then we'll wrap this up. So I hope you enjoy the gameplay, but let's get into what I read in the month of October. So, I read volumes 1, 2, and 3 of Ghostly Things by Ushio Shiratori. I read Ghouls, 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 which was the 5th book in the Ghost Hunter mystery series by Victoria Laurie. I read volumes 1, 2, and 3 of If Witch Then Witch. These were by Ato Sakurai. I read In a Dark, Dark Room and Other Scary Stories twice. These are both by Alvin Schwartz, but the first one I read was illustrated by Dirk Zimmer. The second one I read was illustrated by Victor Rivas. I read Spells for Forgetting by Adrian Young. Vampire Night Volume 1 by Matsuri Hino. My Heart is a Chainsaw, the first book in the Indian Lake trilogy by Stephen Graham Jones. Volume 7 and 8 of Persona 4 by Shuji Sogabe and Atlas. These were part of the ongoing series reads for the Monochrome Manga Club. I read Volume 4 of Mieruko-chan by Tomoki Izumi. Volume 1 of Dark Gathering by Kenichi Kondo. This is also for the Monochrome Manga Club. Box of Light Volume 1 by Seiko Erisawa for the Monochrome Manga Club. Volumes 13, 14, and 15 of Full Metal Alchemist. I read this in the 3-in-1 edition. Volume 5 by Hiromu Arakawa. BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural. 101 True Tales of Hauntings, Demons, and Paranormal by Ryan Bergara and Shane Madej. The Fear Zone and The Fear Zone 2 by K.R. Alexander. And Disney at Dawn, which is the second book in the Kingdom Keepers series by Ridley Pearson. So all in all, even though the last part of October was a bit slower for me in the reading because of my mom's medical emergency, I think I did a pretty good job. And I definitely read a lot of things that were more in the spirit for October for me. And so that was great as well. Pretty much everything I read fit into the kind of vibe that I was going for, the types of reads that I was going for in the month of October. And everything that I read fit for some readathon that I was participating in October. So in October, I was participating in 4 readathons. The Camp Crystal Lake readathon, which is hosted by Barb's Bookland and several other hosts. The Manga Freak-a-thon, which is hosted by my friend Bizarre Individual and Marg Reads Manga. Halloween, which is hosted by my friends Storm Reads, Dark Roots Creations, and Soul Stained Ink. And the Spook-a-thon, which is hosted by Becca and the Books. So all in all, in the month of October, I think I did a really great job getting through all of those readathons. I did read something for every readathon, at least, I think 3 per readathon. Most of my reads went towards the Camp Crystal Lake readathon and the Manga Freak-a-thon, but I did fit in at least 3 reads for both the Spook-a-thon and Halloween. So I think overall, with everything that had happened, I feel really good about what I was able to get through in the month of October. So let's now get to some soft stats for the month. So in October, I had 2 5-star reads, 1 4.5-star read, 13 4-star reads, 5 3-star reads, and 1 DNF. Compared to the month of September, I read 22 total things as opposed to 14 in September, 4,866 pages as opposed to the 3,264 pages in September, 13 volumes of manga as opposed to 8 in September, 8 novels as opposed to 4 in September. I combo read 4 things, which means that I listened to part of the book in audiobook, and then I also read part of the book either physically or digitally. And 3 of the things I read in October were completely listened to via audiobook. 5 of the audiobooks that I had listened to, I borrowed from the library. 2 of the audiobooks I listened to, I owned. 2 of the books that I read were ebook borrows from the library. 18 of the things I read were owned. And 4 of the things I read were rereads. This brings me to 186 things read in the year of 2023. And of those 186 things, 54 of them were novels. So I have reached my goal of reading 52 novels in the year. And so that is great. That means anything else I read for the rest of the year does not have to be a novel if I don't want it to be. That being said, I am doing Light Novel November in November. So I am still reading novels. And so there will be more novels read at least throughout the month of November. And probably December, because you know I like to have my audiobook during my lunch break from work. And so there will be more novels read, but I'm not feeling that like push or the urgency to read a lot of novels. I don't have to read anymore if I don't want to. So that is amazing. So I definitely got to that at the right time. That leaves me the rest of the year to just really read what I want to read, which is great. And so I think that only leaves me with my highest and lowest rated reads of the month. So let's start off with the lowest rated read so that we can leave this video on a high note. And my lowest rated read is actually going to be the read that I did not rate. So it's going to be my DNF. And that was My Heart is a Chainsaw, the first book in the Indian Lake trilogy by Stephen Graham Jones. So I was actually recommended this one by one of my mom's co-workers because I was looking for horror recommendations. And they recommended me this one as well as one other by Stephen Graham Jones. But I started with this one because this was the one that I got released from my library first. And it was not for me. I listened to the audiobook of this. I got through about 30% of it. And it just was not what I thought it was going to be. The beginning part of this book definitely gave me the right vibes. It gave me the right feels that I was looking for, and I thought it had a lot of promise. But then we really switched perspectives into this teenage girl's point of view, And a lot of how she talks, the way she talks, and a lot of her interest lies in horror films. And I'm not really versed in horror films. I know little bits and pieces from, the popular ones. Like Scream is definitely one of the ones that she talked about. And I'm familiar with that. I've watched it, but I've not watched like the rest of the Scream films. I've watched the first one. But she talks a lot about comparing the characters and the different tropes in horror films, final girl tropes and things like that. And she talks very young, like teenage young. And I think this definitely would have worked better for me if I was like in my teens, like say when Scream came out and this book had been around. This would have worked well for me because I was at that age. I could definitely relate to the character being around the same age as me and things like that. And it just doesn't work for me as an adult. So unfortunately, I did DNF this one. I do not believe I will ever try this one again. But the other title that I was recommended by Stephen Graham Jones, I do have interest in still. So I will definitely be trying that one. I believe that one deals more with adults. And so I think that one will definitely work better for me. So unfortunately, My Heart is a Chainsaw is going to be my lowest rated read for the month of October. And then I had 2 highest rated reads in the month. So both of these are 5-star reads. One of them is a reread. It is an annual reread for me. It is definitely a favorite of mine. And it is In a Dark, Dark Room and Other Scary Stories by Alvin Schwartz. The version that I gave 5 stars to was the one that is illustrated by Dirk Zimmer. This I have loved ever since I believe I was in the 3rd grade. This is the version that I grew up with, and I do try to read it annually. Just a short story collection for children, and I really, really enjoy it. I did read another version which was illustrated by Victor Rivas. Definitely the same stories, but the illustrations give the stories a different feel. It definitely doesn't feel as creepy as the illustrations that were done by Dirk Zimmer. They're more kind of cute, kind of quirky, not as creepy. So definitely do still recommend In a Dark, Dark Room, even if it is the one that is illustrated by Victor Rivas. I will tell you, I did borrow that version from Hoopla. And so if you have it available through Hoopla, I definitely recommend because the stories are the same. They are very fun. My favorite is The Green Ribbon. I know you've heard me say that multiple times. But yes, the feel is definitely different. And if you borrow it from Hoopla, it does come with audio narration that you can have the book read to you by a narrator. So that is really fun if you've got a child around that age. Or even for me as an adult, I've never had it read to me, so I did go ahead and listen to it. And the pages turn automatically as it goes through the book and is narrating for you. So that is fun as well. So definitely recommend In a Dark, Dark Room and Other Scary Stories. Any way you can recommend it, but my favorite is the one that is illustrated by Dirk Zimmer. And then my other 5-star read for the month was probably a little bit generous in the rating, to be honest, but I definitely loved watching this show. And so when they came out with a book, I had to have it. I've been holding on to this book since last year. Finally got to it this year, and it was just the right thing to read at the right time. And that was BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural. 101 True Tales of Hauntings, Demons, and Paranormal by Ryan Bergara and Shane Madej. So these are 2 to 3 page inserts about haunted places and things that Ryan Bergara and Shane Madej had gone to explore when they were part of BuzzFeed, doing BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural, and some places that they have never been. But they do talk about these places, like the Pali in Hawaii. They've never been there, but there is an excerpt about it in this book. And I definitely recommend watching this TV show. It is still up on YouTube if you're interested, but Ryan and Shane are no longer with BuzzFeed. They do have their own channel now called Watcher, and they do a similar show called Ghost Files. I definitely recommend you check them out. They're super funny, and this book definitely keeps all of their little quirks and things in there. There is a third narrator if you do decide to listen to the audiobook, which I did combo read this book, and so I listened to most of it, but I did read some of it, and it definitely is Ryan and Shane. If you're familiar with them, it is them. They do narrate the audiobook with the third narrator, and so there's a little bit of like backstory about the place that they're talking about that is done by the third narrator, and then Ryan and Shane weigh in with their thoughts on the place, or if they've been there, they talk about their memories of going there. And it was just a lot of fun. Definitely Ryan and Shane, and I really enjoyed the experience of consuming this book, so I had to give it 5 stars. It's probably not the best book ever, but for me, with the experience of having watched them do paranormal investigation on BuzzFeed Unsolved and continuing to watch them on their new channel Watcher, I just really enjoyed the experience. So I definitely recommend, especially if you're into paranormal investigation TV shows like Ghost Hunters. I would definitely recommend Ryan and Shane because they are pretty funny and they do bring a lightheartedness to their investigations, and it's just really entertaining to watch them. So watch them, read this book, listen to this book. I definitely recommend it all. So it was a really great time, and I definitely, you can probably hear it in my voice, I am smiling because it was just that enjoyable for me to consume in the month of October. And so that'll pretty much do it for me for my end of month reading reflections. Let me know down in the comments below what your highest and lowest rated reads of the month were. How did you do with the readathons that you participated, if you participated in any? And let me know what those readathons were, because I'm always on the lookout for readathons to participate in, especially in the month of October. And if nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a jack-o'-lantern or ghost emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. And that will do it for me today, so I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile like always. Bye.